Assalamualaikum and good evening. For those who have joined, the talk will begin anytime soon. For the time being, you can get comfy and probably get a snack or have a notepad beside you to maybe write down some stuff that you find useful for the talk. So again, for those who have joined, thank you. We will be waiting for the rest to join as well. We'll start at 8:30. Also, a very warm welcome to Miss Pamela Tan. Thank you for joining us for this evening's talk. Good evening. Welcome for those who have joined. We will start the talk in around 15 minutes while waiting for other people to join the meet. In the meantime, you can also go ahead and give a visit to our socials on Instagram. So it's at Nadhrah Studio. You can check on the latest info of our event, and also you can check the schedule for the future talks. Thank you.
What? What?
Okay, macam ni. Boleh kalau aku copy join info ni, kita mesti boleh masuk ke?
Hah?
Orang lain yang belum berdaftar.
Apa?
Kalau aku copy join info ni, orang lain yang belum berdaftar, diorang boleh masuk tak meet ni?
Join info?
Copy. Kalau aku copy join info ni, orang lain boleh masuk tak? Yang belum berdaftar.
Boleh.
Okay, that's to be improved untuk tomorrow lah, sebab Cik Yasin kata tadi tutup 5 pukul 7 kan. Lepas tu dia kata macam ramai lecturer yang baru nak daftar macam tu.
Oh,
Tak boleh
lain
masuk.
ke?
So aku just direct copy link meet ni tadi and bagi dia just now. So untuk tomorrow kita kena buat lah. Lepas ni kena meet balik lah.
Can you tell me that later?
Alright.
Bye.
Well, it seems that we also are joining us today is also Miss Pamela Tan. I hope you're doing well. It's an honor to have you joining our this evening's talk.
Hi, yeah, I'm just joining to support my friends, Adra and Sam. They'll be talking today, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
So a very warm welcome to Puan Shifa and also Encik Yasin for joining our talk this evening, and also welcome Zazi Hamza from Studio Karya. I hope you're all doing fine. So seems our speakers have joined our meet already. Welcome Sam for joining us today, and also Nadhrah.
Hi.
Hi guys, thank you for having us. Thank you for joining on a Saturday night where I know you guys should be doing something else on a Saturday night. Dan bukannya join untuk dengar talk.
So I guess that it's 8:30. Then we could start. So Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. So I hope everyone is doing fine. My name is Azim, and I will be the moderator for today's talk. I bid everyone a warm welcome, and we appreciate your efforts for clearing out your schedule to join this evening's talk. Before we begin, I would like to go ahead and invite Farid Shakimi to recite the dua.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Allahumma innaka khalaqul azim, innaka sami'un alim, innaka ghafurur rahim, innaka rabbul arsyil azim, innakal barul jawadul karim. Ya Allah, Engkaulah yang mempunyai segala kepujian, Engkaulah yang berhak menerima segala kepujian, Engkaulah yang berhak menerima segala kesyukuran, Engkaulah yang memiliki segala pemerintahan. Di tangan Engkau segala kebajikan, kepada Engkaulah kembali segala urusan. Allahumma ya karimu ya rahim, cucurilah rahmat dan rahimmu ke atas program Architectural Review 2020-2021 yang diadakan pada malam ini. Berkatilah ia dari awal hingga akhirnya. Ya fa'alilu ma yurid. Kami juga memohon perlindungan daripadamu dari segala perkara yang boleh mencacat celakan majlis kami dan daripada segala perkara yang melalaikan kami dari berbuat taat kepadamu. Kepadamu juga kami serah segala urusan kami. Rabbana alaika tawakkalna wa ilaika nabna wa ilaikal masir. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Amin ya rabbal alamin.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. So thank you Farid Shakimi for the dua. First of all, joining us today are some lecturers from our university. We have Puan Shifa and also Encik Yasin. Very warm welcome. We also have Miss Pamela Tan joining us today, as well as two very special guests, Sam and Nadhrah from Note to Scale, which will be our speakers for this evening's talk. So welcome everyone. To start things off, I'm going to give a short introduction of our speakers to kind of give the gist of this evening's talk, if you don't mind. So Note to Scale, it's a two-person outfit, which are led by Sam and also Nadhrah. It is a architecture and design research-led practice. in which they respond to current issues through the act of design and also as socio-political commentary. So socio-political, as its name states, social and politics. So it's something that involves both social and political factors. So for example, we could take maybe environmental conservation, which is influenced by the social attitudes towards going green and also by the political policies as well. So that's pretty much about it. I'm understood that Notiscale has been operating for about 4 years. Is that correct?
5 actually.
No, 5 actually. Oh, okay. So they operate in the intersection of art, architecture, and also design. And in these three, they work on stuff like writings, curating exhibitions, installations, art, and also architecture and object design. So you can see most of their writings and the object designs, all of the stated on their Instagram page. You could also go to their Facebook page and to the website as well, which we will link in the chat box later on. So at hand, there are actually a few questions here, but we'll get back to them during our Q&A session. But if Sam and Nadhrah would like to address the questions during their talk, that would be fine as well. So a few of those questions consist of some like when said responding to the current issues through the social political commentary, exactly what are these current issues? Another one would be what is meant by resisting to stick to a certain scale or size, and lastly is maybe where and how could there be an improvement in the architecture education in Malaysia. So those are a few questions that were at hand, and we'll get back to them later on. So without further ado, may I invite Sam and Nadhrah from Notiscale to begin our awarded talk for this evening?
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll share my screen kejap lagi. Now lah, basically.
Yeah.
In terms of the presentation to start off. Okay. Can you guys hold on? Can you guys see the nampak tak?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, good. So thank you dan terima kasih banyak kerana menjemput kami untuk sesi sharing session ni lah. Kami anggap ni sharing session lah. So it's good to come and always give talks to macam back to UiTM, and then of course our teachers is also there juga. Puan Shifa, thank you. Cik Jeb. So basically it's always good macam sharing dengan korang lah sebab please allow us to macam speak rojak sikit. So I think we want it to be casual and then we want it to be easy with you guys, so you guys pun jangan segan silu untuk tanya. So basically the aim of this sharing session is to macam harapnya korang pun bertanya in the end, because that's the best way untuk korang get the most out of this presentation. Actually, it's not about us just telling what we do or sharing the works, but it's also more on engaging with you guys, seeing what you guys think, especially since you guys who are gonna graduate and be in the industry in the next few years, or even macam some of the graduating cohorts if they're in the room lah. So this is hopefully useful for you guys, and inshallah we'll try and help out if you guys have any further questions in the end.
Yeah.
So this is Matter of Scale, journey, practice and works by a small independent practice lah, Notiscale. So briefly, we are an outfit of two. Saya akan beritahu background saya sikit lah, and then Nadhrah akan beritahu background dia. So saya perjalanan dalam architecture agak jauh. Saya daripada kira pernah study overseas masa degree di Bartlett. Tapi after 2 years saya tak habis, and then saya balik Malaysia, saya masuk UiTM. So UiTM, I start balik the degree process actually. So I started back and masuk SEM 3. And then habis degree, I worked with independent, like a small boutique office lah, Koda, and then I worked with KL Super Studio. And then after that, I studied part 2 in Greenwich for my masters in the UK. After which, I came back. I worked in another architecture boutique, Studio Bikin, for 2.5 years, and then I jumped to a developer. I jumped to a developer for 8 months. And right now, I'm working in GDP as a design strategist under GDP R Plus division. So that's what I mean. I have a full-time job out, and this is a side practice that we are building up. Yeah. Go ahead, Adra.
So Azan, sorry. Okay. Should we just wait for a while?
Yeah, Ken. Sorry, I cannot mute my Nina.
It's okay. Let's just wait it out for a bit. Okay, so I'll continue my introduction. I studied in UiTM Shah Alam as well, in the same studio as Sam, for my part 1 degree. And we graduated, I think. Maybe I graduated first and then Sam like maybe a year later or so. So after my part 1, I worked in Unit 1 design for about 8 months before I applied for scholarship to study overseas in the UK. So I did my part 2 degree dekat University of Greenwich, London. So at the same time too, Sam also entered in the same batch. So we entered masters at the same time, but Sam graduated first in 2016, and I graduated a year later in 2017. So I was about in 2 years in London because of a subject hiccup in between. But within that time of doing my master's, I also part-time worked in London with my tutor. So my tutor was Max Dubney, and so I worked with him in his architecture firm. He's a very small studio because it was just like mainly me and him, and occasionally adalah macam part 1 student also working with him, or my part 2 studio mate who was a local, and we worked together on like small competitions in the UK and some medium rise residentials, and then that was mainly it lah. And that got me to experience like working on UK projects and the speed, and feel the difference between like Malaysian practice and London practice lah. And it was very different, like in terms of how I engage working there and working in Malaysia, because like I came from Unit 1, which is actually considered quite fast paced. And then when I went to London, it's a bit not to say slow, but there was a lot of rigorous concept work done or importance put to it. Anyway, after part 2, so I came back and I'm now currently working as an architect in GDP Architects. So yeah, I'm just practicing there and doing my training there. Oh, I also worked with Attila Alente in Jaya 1 for about almost a year also before going to GDP. And I'm still there. So yeah, and just doing note to scale on the side with Sam here and there. How did it start? Actually, we decided to start note to scale during our final year, or at least Sam's final year in masters. We were just before we were, like maybe 3 months before going back or something like that, or he was going back. We were thinking how do we keep this spirit of like what we learned in London and how we were being trained like as designers for our masters. How do we keep this spirit alive, And this was something that we needed to and we realized like this is something that we needed to commit by ourselves, like because after this no one's going to tell you to be a designer and stuff like that. So we decided to let's just start practice and try to do what we do, and try to make it work in Malaysia, because there's a chance that even though that we both wanted to work in London and stuff like that, but rezeki tak ada, and so came back to Malaysia and we tried to make this work and still trying to do that. Sam, next. You can go next slide.
So basically kami akan bombard you guys with a lot of visuals of what we do, the scope of works that we cover. But it's so we cover things such as influence, and then the way the practice is operating as a side practice to our 9 to 5, and then we'll go into the works itself lah, just explaining some of the works. So it's okay if you guys don't catch all of apa yang kita orang cuba nak cakap ni, because the point is just to give an overview. If you like to read more about it, you guys can always like visit the website or look at our like social media, Instagram, other places where we explain it in more detail lah. But it's just to give an overview, so you guys can understand the breadth of what we're doing lah. So influence macam kami di-influence oleh banyak benda macam within the built environment. Memes, of course, memes in terms of popular culture, in terms of how people read information sekarang berbeza. And then it's not just how you read it, but how you visualize that aspect of a certain message. So macam this is one of, we reference macam this quite a lot. This is like macam image. This is like illustration. But it macam dulu dah start benda ni lama lah in terms of macam giving critique of to our social macam condition lah of our spaces, of our life, kampung, bandar. So yang ni best sebab dia macam simple lah, macam who says we don't allocate space for recreation. So typically macam urban development ada allocation within dia punya planning to have recreation. So it's quite a funny take on it lah, but I think it's quite a pertinent thing that's recurring sampai sekarang, and it's I guess we would say macam kita orang cuba untuk menampaikan certain issues in this manner, in a manner yang macam maybe agak tongue in cheek sikit, maybe agak something yang people would get. Macam it doesn't necessarily macam have to be macam that heavy for you to understand the content, but you could take away something from it. So macam contoh macam ada influencers, kami influenced by macam maybe artists such as Madeline Risendock. Madeline Risendock is Rem Koolhaas punya ex-wife, correct. So she did a lot of paintings for his book Delirious New York, and we're interested in the macam kita minat maybe overlay ataupun juxtaposition benda-benda yang maybe tak related, but if you put it side by side, macam new relationships akan timbul yang menyebabkan you boleh reframe certain issues in a different light. Antara of course antara references architects, contoh Cedric Price. Even though Cedric Price didn't build a lot during his lifetime, but he is a seminal thinker in a way, how he influenced other architects of his era and the other generations selepas dia in terms of how you engage with architecture as more than just a building, but as a way to engage the profession in a much more macam richer manner. Macam the solution might not be a building, the solution might be maybe a gazetting an area for macam apa tu, macam hutan simpan. So macam the solution might not be concrete, it might be policy, it might be other things lah. So we are interested also in that angle. And then ready-mades, we're interested in the aspect of making juga. So these are object art. So kami interested in the idea of object art, macam making something, and then the thing has its own weight as an object where you could read it on its own or you could read it in relation to something else. Macam you'll understand bila macam kita orang go through the projects lah, how it translates basically. So what we do in a nutshell lah kan, untuk memudahkan you guys memahami apa scope tu lah. No2Scale is an architecture, art and design practice. So utilizing media seperti product design and curation alongside architecture to bring issues related to the built environment to a wider public audience. So macam the idea untuk kebanyakan projek kami adalah untuk menyebarkannya kepada umum melalui either exhibition di institusi seperti contoh macam Balai Seni Negara ataupun Publica. So it's trying to push agendas from the built environment, issues yang macam yang kebanyakannya tertumpu kepada kumpulan designer dan arkitek, tapi dia susah nak dipushkan kepada macam the layman ataupun orang di luar yang dia aware tapi dia mungkin dapat pique interest dia untuk macam lebih mengetahui apa yang what's happening to our built environment lah. So one of the device yang we use is speculative design lah. It's a discursive practice based on critical thinking and dialogue, which questions the practice of design. So it's interesting that we work in GDP, both of us. We are practical in a sense, but and then this other side of the practice to scale enables us to balance out that practicality lah, and then use that skill and maybe to apply it back to practice in our daily work. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but you could say that to scale is an ideal version of that thinking and practice. So yeah, Adra will tell us a bit about the office.
Okay. So I just want to add on that comment about like both of us working in GDP and still practicing. I mean, I know like before, maybe in the years before I even started working, there was a stigma about like, how, maybe Malaysia is a bit difficult to work in. When you like having that freedom of design and going into office and all that. I think for NoToScale, I think we're on the side of like, I think this is something that, take it as like architecture training, it's training. It's, even though, yes, it can get a bit boring and quite repetitive and all that, but it is still skills that we can use to help with our side stuff, as in this, especially when it comes to, when you want to do detailing or like installation or something, it does help you create the understanding. So it's just one thing you have to learn is just to keep in your pocket. So not to say it's useless, going into practice and stuff like that. But anyway, I mean, because after that, you can just go out and do other things on your own and innovate and stuff. Anyway, so this is our office. It's basically just like WhatsApp, Google Drive, Dropbox. It was first in WhatsApp because when Sam balik Malaysia, like I was still in London. And our earlier projects were on competitions, and we just like upload stuff and snapshot our sketches, our works in progress in WhatsApp, feed back and forth, comment and whatever. And usually the time when Sam is in the morning in Malaysia, I was at night in London. So at that time, it kind of worked well. So yeah, and we've been working like this until now because we don't have a physical office at all. So, and in a way, it's good that we were already used to it because now we're in pandemic and we have to work like that anyway. So yeah. Next, I guess. So yeah, just highlighting what in the fields, between these fields, that's sort of the area that we're working, marrying into and delving into architecture, design, art. Next. This is a compilation of the works that we've done so far. This is quite outdated because there's some new stuff that came up, but I think this is like from up until 2020, I think.
Yeah,
so
early 20.
Yeah, so they range from like competitions, exhibitions, including our collaborations and shows and object stuff, or even stuff that we came up with and shared it already and stuff like that. Next. And yeah, so these highlighted were collaborations with other people who were either also architects or designers or artists. Yeah, next.
I mean, yeah, basically this is like we're trying to illustrate a timeline of the scope of design that we do. Initially, from 2016, I think we were focusing more on architectural design in terms of designing housing of the future. But then along the years, which eventually, as it came into 2021, we realized that there's also an avenue within art, the art world to enable us to actually use that field untuk propagate isu-isu berkenaan big environment. So it's not to say that we're doing art now, but it's just that we realize that the field is expanding in terms of where you can operate. It doesn't just have to be within built environment and construction. You can jump to art, you can jump to macam music. So it's a way to test out macam mana project tu boleh di-apply kepada tempat lain. So this is a quote from Soil lah. It's a firm, Soil, but dia macam, the quote di atas best. How then might we meaningfully organize matter in our increasingly volatile world? So in a way, NoToScale is trying to find out the changing landscape of the profession. Sebab macam we've gone through COVID ni kan, and then we've gone to MCO, and with us being macam working in the industry, we know that it's doing not that well lah. So we understand that macam the way one sees an architecture practice, it has to be more richer, or you have to have more value, or you have to find ways to navigate around the build industry in order to move forward into the future. So basically ni just basically what we're interested in and how it feeds into the practice. So notice scale in the middle. We are interested in critical design, and we're interested equally in making, fabrication, interested in culture, things related to pop culture and local issues. And then that translates to the output, which can be writing, which could be commentary, artwork, prototypes of furnitures, and then it feeds back, and then it's sort of a feedback loop. And then ini pun kira macam if you see macam we are interested in things in the built environment, and it's so rich between macam traditional, contemporary, high culture, low culture. So we are interested in the banal, benda-benda yang macam harian yang kita overlook, benda-benda quiche, pastiche, benda-benda tu dia ada area yang in terms of architecture design kita tak explore lagi lah, in terms of itu pun sebahagian daripada identity contemporary juga, macam mana kita nak bawa benda tu untuk translate pada design or to push certain issues out there. Yeah, so Nadhrah, please.
So one of our, actually it is our first or second object that we kind of brought to life, and this was bangku tapau. We came up with it for the KL chair competition organized by CLAF in 2017, I think, 2017 or early 2018. So we were shortlisted and we were asked to realize our design. So bangku tapau, actually it's inspired by our own lepak mamak culture. So we kind of like, you know how we have like air kat tepi, and we kind of like that playful sort of uniqueness, and we try to translate that into the what we interpret as the Malaysian chair. So bangku tapau is the mamak stool reimagined in a different way, but made of recycled plastic, and yeah, and its idea is meant to be like it's flat pack and you can take it anywhere. So that strap, that, you know, if you have format, you boleh bawa, and there's a little detail design on the flat plane of the seat where you can sangkut your air kat tepi. So yeah, as Sam said, we're interested in fabrication and making, and we actually went and collected all those plastics ourselves. And yeah, and like I did a summer workshop in London to learn how to utilize recycled plastic and melt it and turn it into material. And I tried to bring that knowledge back and apply it to a product here in Malaysia. And that was quite good. Circular design. So recycled plastic is actually part of the being like in the circle design economy. So it's basically like you reuse that material back into something else and remade. So this is a whole another topic and subject, but these are one of the areas that we are actually very interested in doing. Cuma it's a bit hard to kick it off in Malaysia because of our I guess resources that we have right now, but this is something that we are to look into in the future going forward. Next. So just some snippets of our making during that time. So we collected, washed ourselves, and because of our recycling centers are actually not that organized or systematic, so we actually had to go masa kita beli all that plastic, kita beli, and then macam like actually they're not even clean or stuff like that. So actually to recycle plastic, you have to have it clean. Sebenarnya, seeloknya you have to house you know, when you're at your house and you want to give to recycle, sebenarnya it's elok that you clean it and then baru you go and recycle. If not, like this is another step for a center to do it. So in the UK and other European countries, actually they do encourage that for you to clean it first before you put it into the recycle bin. But yeah, so we cut it up and whatever, and we did some prototypes and melting all those pieces, and then yeah, jadilah our bangku tapau chair. Oh, we fabricated this with Fabratory. They're a fabrication lab based in Mutiara Damansara, just across Curve. So shout out to them. They did because we did the large plastic board and we had to CNC it to flatten it out and create the flat pieces and to mill it, smoothen it and stuff like that. Next. We also utilize the leftovers of the recycled plastic board into like other ideas of potential furniture pieces that we might create, again with recycled plastic. Next, so another kind of furniture that might come up sooner or later.
It's just maybe trying to macam maximize the material in terms of offcuts pun you can actually use to explore furniture typologies.
Yeah. And this is a Chongkak playscape, which is basically a reinterpreted version of a contemporary Chongkak. So we were invited to take part of this exhibition in Singapore. I'm not sure what's the place called. The Design. Is it called the? It's like the Design Museum for Singapore. It's
Singapore National Design Center.
Yeah, that place. So we were invited by Shafiq Jubri. He's also a fellow architect and designer. So he invited us to partake into this exhibition around play, the idea of play in tropical cities. So you know, the idea of play between Singapore and Malaysia are not that actually. Our histories are quite similar. It's not very different. So we decided to go with reinterpreting the Chongkak, and we had made this out of like our knowledge of laser cutting and 3D printing and some of the CNC. And yeah, as you can see, we're really into making objects and stuff from scratch and trying to realize our sort of flat collages and 3Ds into reality, because they give a different dimension, especially when you see it one-to-one scale in real life.
Yeah, so it was exhibited at the National Design Center Singapore for it was during the in-betweenness of MCO, so we had to ship it out of Malaysia. We didn't go there, we can't go there. So benda ni the exhibit selama 2 bulan until early 2021. So it's an urban play set lah. It's like it's like an interpretation of Chongkak, where Chongkak, the essential thing is that you're collecting counters or marbles and then putting in containers, but we're trying to macam posit a different kind of play where you create your own urban playscape that you are able to reconfigure, not just macam by collecting, you collect but then you play on the levels of kira macam top to bottom lah. So it's a negotiation between two players, lebih kurang. So some of the things that we do is on commentary work. So this was a commentary on the Malaysian Pavilion. So this is Jolo sheet from 1MDB. So the idea was how to materialize the stolen money or the money from 1MDB, but materialize it in a way that people would grasp the value, which is a lot. So we thought macam, why not position it as, like a pavilion? Put Jolo sheet in the middle of the pavilion for Malaysia. So you can see like the actual spoils of 1MDB, macam you can go enjoy the yard, macam rasa macam, oh, inilah dia beli painting Michel Basquiat. Lepas tu it's just about it's the idea of critiquing, but also trying to re-question apa sebenarnya value Malaysian Pavilion and what is its true value other than, of course, touristic purposes and trying to export the best of Malaysia. How critical can we be with making another pavilion at the World Expo? So this was published on Design, and then of course the real design came out by Ijaz Kasturi, and yeah, so we are interested in trying to question why certain things are taken for granted, and then what values as a Malaysian do we want to show to the world. It's not exactly, we're not saying that, hey, buatlah and letaklah kapal. No, but it's actually to make you question. Of course, a lot of people hated it, a lot of people love it. Tapi macam that's the whole point, untuk create discussion around the topic. So the wall ni is one of our earlier projects. It's about our response to Donald Trump punya US-Mexico wall yang around 2,000 mile panjangnya. So this is the proposal. The proposal is a 2,000 mile long dining table stretching the whole length of US-Mexico. Tapi instead of separating it as a border, we're proposing yang macam people come together in the spirit of communal gatherings and then have macam whatever communal activities they have lah. So it's of course benda ni speculative project. It's intended to open up discussion about what a border should be, in the midst of everyone saying macam a border is this, a border is that. Macam coming from Malaysia, kita suka makan culture, and so macam it makes sense for us as Malaysian to present something which is dear to us. Macam everyone gets together over makan, and then the table stretches up towards the end. Tapi what's interesting is that macam this is not maybe related lah, but an artist JR did something along the lines juga. Ours was a proposition, was a collage, and then a few months later, JR, an artist, came out with this installation where he did bridge both US and Mexico through gatherings, to a simple act of macam laying down macam table kan. So macam it questions what is the role of design and architecture in making people come together. Is it necessarily creating hard solid objects, or is it about understanding behavior and human nature and knowing what's best to bring the best out of people? So and then this was among one of the 5 designs that was quoted alongside if you guys realize macam ada a seesaw yang famous, yang pink tu, yang dekat border tu, this one. This was the seesaw won design of the year, Beasley Design Award of the Year by Design Museum lah. So it's quite interesting yang macam you could do something so simple kan, tapi benda tu it could bring so much impact into the discussion of making people understand relationship between borders. And this is a recent one. Hidden Liberty came out of the response of course, US presidential elections, and then the Black Lives Matter movement, in terms of macam kenapa macam just maybe blocking of the image of Lady of Liberty, which stands as a symbol of hope lah for a lot of immigrants. And then macam what if you cover that image, what then are you able to read from that act? So it's of course macam certain propositions maybe an inspiration or inspired daripada contoh macam Christo punya work, Christo and Jean-Claude. So Christo and Jean-Claude are artists where they do really large installations to the scale that it's almost architectural. So ini Mastaba dekat Hyde Park. So a lot of Christo punya work dia dah buat lama dulu. Dia buat lama, and then maybe 20 years down the line they realize it. But it's powerful. Macam this is one of the islands in Miami yang dia buat. It started off as propositions, but if you search, and you find this was done in the 1990s, 1980s, something like that. But it's like it's amazing to the scale of architectural installation that it is. It changes the way you understand spatial relationships, and it questions apa you understand about the urban environment juga. So macam for Crystal lah kan, why it's interesting is that it's temporary. The projects are temporary. The projects are once in a lifetime, and once upon a time. It's supposed to be there for a short time to make people question, and then we can macam think of other ways of how to move forward into the future. You want to say? Yeah.
Okay, so collaborations. We're now here. This was a collaboration between both of our tutors, actually, our master's tutors, Max Dewdney. He invited us to take part in a London competition that was happening in the summer of 2018, I think, or 2019. I don't remember, but just a note on collaborations. Collaborations, we think that it is one of the things that we need to sort of pedal, because we do think it's very important to do so in the future, that we can't be working alone, even as like not just between architects and architects, but you should be working with all sorts of people and designers from different creative fields. Not even creative pun can, because you lend yourself as the design input or some sort of, it's just to create more conversation and understanding between different fields, and it will widen your perspective and views on the world and how you maybe go forward with your design. So, and collaborations are also about keeping like relationships and connections that you have. So until today, even like we are like, we keep in contact with our friends, our colleagues in part 2 masters over there, just to see how they're doing as designers, because you don't know, we're now a global kind of thing. Like we have Instagram and stuff, like you can keep in contact. So yeah, like don't be afraid to like grow outside of Malaysia. That's our point, basically. Don't think that your ocean is just Malaysia. Think like the world lah. So actually, Pop-up Parliament was supposed to be a summer sort of like a mini pavilion on a barge. The brief was on a barge, and we actually we were shortlisted as second to be built, but we didn't win first. And our next collaboration here that you see is actually for a competition hosted by DZine for DZine and Mini Living, with one of our past colleagues as well from a different design unit. We collaborated with him to imagine a house for the future, like imagine for 100 years. And we were shortlisted as well as top 15, but also didn't win, but that's okay. So in here, the design was about like we were utilizing our recycled plastic idea and about the circular economy and how it could be like construction material of the future. Like what if you could use like recycled plastic as the body or the shell of the house. So the main site is mainly in London, and that these structures were constructed as monocoque structures, sort of like airplanes. So as one piece because of the nature of plastic and melting plastic, and they could be hoisted up and placed on London rooftops, because London, just like KL right now, or at least KL is starting to go that way, it doesn't have a lot of land to build like new houses or new developments. So hence, we were thinking perhaps like these new houses, that in order to be in the city, that it could be on the like flat rooftops, or and these houses could form communities with these like cores. And as you can see, like there's a public green and rings, and they could be all around the city. Next.
So we're positing, what if the guys you learn in school, which is macam architecture research lah kan, can research be positioned as art? Possible tak untuk you guys macam pakai benda ni and then try to posit it in a way yang you guys can actually bring it to a much larger audience than what you present to. Macam right now it's maybe terikat kepada a certain circle, tapi macam possible ke untuk you guys tunjuk benda ni as a product on its own and people can appreciate and understand something different out of it? So contoh macam untuk Kuala Lumpur Architecture Festival 2017, we did an installation lah surrounding the issue of Kampung Baru, and then of course masa tu isu Kampung Baru tengah hot. So what we did was was responding to writing, to an image and an installation. So 11 rumah 11 stories of Eurasia is about 11 rumah yang akan digezet untuk dipindahkan dalam Kampung Baru ke satu lokasi yang jadi museum lah. So kita orang nak in a way macam mana you nak it's not about us trying to propose a master plan, tak, it's about how do you remember pemergian Kampung Baru, because it will be inevitable that one day benda ni akan di-develop. But there's never been macam we've always been wanting to macam hold on to sentimental values, but have we ever actually thought about macam mana kita nak preserve memory benda tu? So it's a simple installation, just transposing rumah-rumah ni kepada macam basic macam permukaan rumah lah kan. Tapi ideally benda tu dia sepatutnya inflatable, macam we wanted to do an inflatable house one-to-one where it would be floated in the middle of Publica lah. So macam
collaborations.
Yeah, so okay, so ini short video lah, tapi macam later on just early this year 2021 macam we were invited by Hong Kong University and M+ in Hong Kong to be involved to exhibit the drawing lah, the 11 rumah tu dalam Archigam City's Drawings Gallery. So initially it was supposed to be a proper show lah in a gallery, tapi because of MCO they decided to do an online show, and then with various other architects relating their works to Archigram, the 60s group. And then, but it's amazing that macam a local issue such as Kampung Baru can be of interest to international practitioners juga. So I think the world is looking for local contextualized issues within negara masing-masing, and it's not about copying the West anymore. It's about really macam